So you say, I am going to eat, or I am eating. But what about the past tense of eating? You say ate. Now, can you say I am ate? No. Instead, you can say I have eaten, though. You can say I have gone. You can say I have seen. But have is a bit for possession, isn't it? And that's not something unusual. This is the case in multiple other languages as well, and Turkish is actually one of them. So let's see how it's done in Turkish. Let's take our usuals. Ben, sen, o, biz, siz, and onlar. Now there are two forms of the past tense. There's the mish suffix, which we will not discuss in this video. And then we have the regular suffix. And before I mention the regular suffix, let's look at English. Let's take the verb cook. What's the past tense of cook? It's cooked. So we see the suffix is ed. Let's take another one. Let's say walk. What's the past tense of walk? It's walked. Once again, it's this ed, or more specifically the d. This is the exact same thing that happens in Turkish. So this time, in Turkish, let's take one of our usual verbs. Let's take almak, which means to take. And let's try to conjugate it in the past tense. Almak becomes aldım. As you can see, this is once again the same D that we used in English. Let's try with san. Aldın. Now, this is where it becomes a bit different. If you recall, in the future tense and in the şimdiki zaman, the present continuous or present, we had sın here, but here we only have n. Why? Well, the reason behind this is once again that same exact thing that we mentioned. The suffixes here in the geçmiş zaman, the past tense, are more similar to the possession rather than the verb to be, because it's not you are take, you have taken. So let's take the o. Once again, it's al, the. We have the d, and we have the suffix. Here, the usage of the vowel as the suffix for o was used in the possession, but it was not used in the non-possession, like just the verb to be. So you would say, ben doktorum, I'm a doctor, or he is a doctor, o doktor. We just left it there. We also said, yes, we do have the option of putting the dır there. So o doktordur. And we can actually do that with some cases of the present and future. This is not the case in the past or the possession. As in, I would say, for example, benim doktorum, this is my doctor. Or let's use a different word. Let's say kalem, pencil, pen. Benim kalemim, onun kalemi. Once again, we had the usage of the vowel. The same thing exactly happens in the past. Let's move on to the next one. So here, if it were exactly the same as possession, it would be aldığımız. That's what would happen if it were exactly the same as the possession, but it's not exactly. And biz is that exception. And this actually occurs in some other things that we will see more later on. It's actually aldık, use the K. So aldık. As for siz, exactly the same as possession. So all, and then the D for the past tense, just like in English, aldınız. Let's take onlar. All, the, and if we want aldılar, which gives the plural, but it's not oftentimes necessary because, as we can see, it's just aldılar. They have bought. Done. Okay, let's try something different. Let's do the same three that we did before. Let's do uyumak. to sleep. And let's use oynamak to play. And let's use demek to say. Maybe last time we used yemek instead. Not sure. So, ben, sen, o, biz, siz, and onlar. So, let's start with sleep. Uyu, same thing, the D for the past tense, and then the possession suffix uyudum. So I have slept. It's not exactly have slept. It's not the past perfect, by the way, just to be clear. That's something completely different. But the construct is the construct of possession. So it is I slept. Sen. Let's try here. Sen uyu dün. O uyu do. Oh, actually, I was not planning to do uyumak in the o. Here, I meant to use oynamak. We're going to do them 3 and 3. 2 and 2. Oyna. D. As you can see, in this case, we did not change the vowel. We didn't mind because we're just putting on an extra D. And the same happens in biz. So we have oyna, dık. Now, for the interesting one, that's demek. And the same happens to yemek. De, dim. Once again, even though it's just 2 letters, 1 vowel, we didn't change anything. And sorry, not dedim. Dedim is. And then, let me just check if I made a mistake here. No, I didn't. Okay, great. Onlar dedi. Dedi. And let me just put this one here. So dedi, we're just going to put the usual vowel for the possession, and then the layer if we want. So yeah, that's basically it for this. But let's see, we have the fıstık shop version. We have the we don't have the fıstık shop version yet. And this one's actually interesting. So let's take 2. Let's take which 2? Gitmek. And let's take açmak. And in this specific case, we actually don't need a third one because the same will apply. And let's write them. This is actually a fun one, in a sense. Ben, sen, o, biz, siz, and onlar. So what's interesting about this? The interesting part is, let's write it down, git. Now the suffix was di, and then im, the possession. Now the interesting part is rather than having to worry about like previously, actually no, I'm not going to tell you yet. Actually, I'm going to write the next one first. I want to leave it for later because it's better if I have gitmek, açmak also written. Din. This is incorrect, so don't write yet. Don't write anything yet. O, git, and then di. Do not write anything yet because what I'm writing is incorrect and it's deliberate. Biz gid di ik. Actually, no, this was supposed to be aç. So I fixed that. Aç. And siz aç. Dınız. And then we write this one. Onlar aç. Lar. Okay. What's interesting? In the future tense and in the present tense. In this case, we couldn't change the che to a j because we said that this is going to change the meaning entirely and become pain rather than open. However, in this one, we did change. Now, the interesting part is in this one, since the suffix is a consonant, but not any consonant. This is actually the D. And therefore, the only thing that needs to change is this D into a T, and this applies to every single fasıkçı shahab. As in, we no longer have to worry about, oh, there are exceptions, oh, there's this one does, this one doesn't. No, all of them, every single one of them. Every single one of them just changes this D to a T, and we are done. There is nothing else to worry about. Whew. Now, I will actually also, since we're doing this, show the mish type of the geçmiş zaman. And this is more for like, someone told you, like this is duyulan geçmiş zaman. Someone told you that something happened. You'd use this mish. So let's do it in one form. And this time I will use a mixture of all the forms because thankfully for this one, there is nothing to worry about. No different rules, really. It's exactly the same. And onlar. For the time being, if you're watching my lessons, most people I assume are quite beginners, so it's not an issue if you don't get this one yet. It's not necessary in the beginning of your journey to learn Turkish. It's the other ones that are more important, but let's do it nonetheless. So we used almak. Let's do it here. Almış. The vowel is, of course, the minor vowel. And let's do another one here. Let's do uyumak. Uyu. Mush. Let's use the other one here. Which one should we use? We used demek before. De. Mish. And let's take biz. Which ones did we use before? We used oynamak. So oyna. Mish. And let's take this one and let's do, which one should we use? Which have we not used? Yes, git. Git. Mish. This is nice. There's nothing to worry about. It's very simple, very straightforward. And the next one is going to be aç. Mish. Now, of course, the important part that you might be wondering, what happens to the personal suffix? And here it's almışım. Almışsın. And o almış. Biz almışız. Siz almışsınız. And onlar almış. If we want lar. And yes, this is a bit different. This is now taking the form of am as a verb to be. And it's like, it's because this is like duyulan. Like, I'm not going to say it's exactly this. It's not exactly like saying, oh, it seems like he is gone. It seems like he has gone. But it's not exactly that. But yes, it is more of a verb to be construct rather than a past tense. Because once again, this is something that you've heard from someone else, but you don't really know for a fact that this actually happened. For example, here, I made this mistake here. Sen uyumuşsun. It's like, I've heard, like, someone's told me that you have slept, or, you've gathered it somewhere. You haven't seen it with your own eyes. Okay? And that would be it. And with the next lesson, we're going to move away from tenses. We will actually talk more about the locations and things similar to that. And then we will go back to the geniş zaman, which is the general tense, which is actually incredibly, incredibly important. So if you'd like to maybe check out some tutoring for help, you can check out the link in the description box down below. And there I've linked the platform in which I work. And additionally, if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments down below.